Good morning. All right, let's do this. Hello, and welcome to Coffee Before Pants and Culture Cafe, a rundown of the literary, film, and music history for the week of July 13th. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoy what you watch. If you do enjoy what you see here, please feel free to hit the like button down below. If you'd like notifications for when I post new videos, click the subscribe button also down below. As I've said in previous videos, subscribing to my channel really makes me happy. Before we start, though, I would like to take a minute to thank the sponsor of this and other Coffee Before Pants videos. The sponsor for today's Coffee Before Pants video is The Book Deal, Madison's premier place to find new and used books. With over 30,000 books in every category, you are sure to find your next book for your TBR list. I go there almost every weekend and never fail to find something to read. That's The Book Deal, 3822 Mineral Point Road in Madison, Wisconsin. They also have online shopping at thebookdeal.com. Also, one more thing before we start. You can now follow Coffee Before Pants on TikTok and Instagram. I resisted for the longest time, but now you can see the videos and on TikTok and Instagram. The links will be posted down below. Okay, let's talk about some history and pop culture. July 13th, 1946 marks the birthday of actor, comedian, and writer Richard Cheech Marin, half of the comedy duo Cheech and Chong. In the 1970s and 80s, these two stereotypical stoners symbolized cannabis culture in the United States. When the duo parted ways in 1985, Cheech Marin quickly developed quite the solo career with movies such as Born in East LA, Thin Cup, Once Upon a Time in Mexico, and he had three separate roles in the vampire flick From Dusk Till Dawn. This is in addition to countless TV appearances and voice work for Disney. Marin is also an avid collector of Chicano art and started his collection in the 1980s. Two national touring exhibitions have featured works from his private collection. He feels that it's important to use his celebrity status to call attention to what he saw as an underappreciated and underrepresented style of art. In collaboration with the city of Riverside, California, and the Riverside Art Museum, Marin established the Cheech Marin Center for Chicano Art, Culture, and Industry in the city of Riverside, which opened June 18th of 2022. Marin will be donating his collection of over 700 pieces of Chicano art, the largest collection of such art in the world. The center will provide a location for the presentation and study of Chicano art. July 13th, 2004 marks the death of South African author and activist Nadine Gordimer at the age of 90. Gordimer was born to Jewish parents near Springs, an East Rand mining town outside Johannesburg, on November 20th, 1923. Beginning in 1960, she became active in South African politics and was close friends with Nelson Mandela's defense attorneys, Bram Fisher and George Bizos, during Mandela's 1962 trial. She also helped Mandela edit his famous speech, I Am Prepared to Die, given from the defendant's dock at the trial. Although her works Burger's Daughter and July's People were banned during the apartheid era, she was eventually given the recognition she deserved and won the Nobel Prize in Literature in 1991. July 14th, 1811, Lord Byron returned to England after a 2-year trip through the Mediterranean. Shortly after his return, he published Childe Harold's Pilgrimage, which brought him instant popularity. Byron said, I woke one morning and found myself famous. Well, think of it this way. Byron was the 1800s equivalent of a rock star. His fame would greatly influence his flamboyant lifestyle and controversial romantic choices. Lord Byron died on April 19th, 1824, after a brief illness. His death was mourned worldwide. July 15th, 1838, Ralph Waldo Emerson shocked listeners when he gave the commencement address at Harvard Divinity School, his alma mater. In his speech, he credited Jesus as being a great man, but not God. Despite the large outcry of critics, Emerson made no reply. He was not invited back to Harvard for 30 years. July 15th, 1919 marks the birthday of Dame Jean Iris Murdoch, DBE. She was an Irish and British novelist and philosopher. Murdoch is best known for her novels about good and evil, sexual relationships, and the power of the unconscious. Her novels include The Sea, Black Prince, and The Philosopher's Pupil. I've read several Iris Murdoch novels and I've enjoyed them all. Dame Iris Murdoch died on February 8th, 1999, 2 months after being diagnosed with Alzheimer's. July 17th, 1889 marks the birthday of Earl Stanley Gardner. Gardner was an American author and lawyer best known for the Perry Mason series of legal detective stories. Gardner also wrote numerous other novels and short pieces, as well as a series of nonfiction books, mostly narrations of his travels through Baja California and other regions in New Mexico. The best-selling American author of the 20th century at the time of his death, Gardner also published under numerous pseudonyms, including A. Fair, Carl Franklin Ruth, Carlton Kindrake, Charles Green, and several others. But it was his character of attorney Perry Mason that brought Gardner the most renown. Perry Mason is featured in 82 novels, 4 short stories, all of which involve a client being charged with murder, usually involving a preliminary hearing or jury trial. Typically, Mason establishes his client's innocence by finding the real murderer. The character was inspired by famed Los Angeles defense attorney Earl Rogers. The Perry Mason novels spawned 3 films, a radio program, and in 1957, the CBS TV series starring Raymond Burr as the title character. The series ran for 9 years. It also had one of the best theme songs of any television program of that era. Hide Baby with the theme from Peter Gunn TV series. July 17th, 1947, Jack Kerouac embarked on his first cross-country road trip with friends, quote, in search of God, unquote. His journals from his trip and subsequent trips across America, eventually formed his groundbreaking novel, On the Road. Kerouac followed up with novels such as The Subterraneans, Desolation Angels, Dr. Sax, just to name a few. He and Allen Ginsberg and William Burroughs and Gregory Corso, among others, were the progenitors of the Beat generation. Although Kerouac died in 1969, his influence on literature is still felt today. Although Kerouac was one of the biggest influences on the beatniks and the hippie movement, Kerouac, as he grew older, was just the opposite of cool. In fact, he felt antagonistic towards the beatnik movement and felt they misrepresented what he and others stood for. Kerouac felt that the beatnik label trivialized the depth and complexity of the Beat generation's ideas and artistic explorations. He believed it reduced their movement to a mere fashion or fad, a far cry from the spiritual and existential quest that drove his own work, like On the Road. I think Kerouac, as a character in his writing, was far cooler than Kerouac, the real person. If you would like to learn more about Jack Kerouac, I recommend the book Memory Babe by Gerald Nicosia. July 17th, 1967 marks the death of the broadly influential jazz saxophonist and composer John Coltrane at the age of 40 from liver cancer. I had no idea that Coltrane was that young when he died. Born in North Carolina and raised in Philadelphia, Coltrane rose to fame as a member of Miles Davis's quintet in the 1950s and played on several of the trumpeter's key albums, including 1959's Kind of Blue, one of the best Miles Davis albums. Coltrane's brief but stellar solo career, which took flight in the late 50s, saw him push the frontiers of modern jazz with groundbreaking albums like Giant Steps, My Favorite Things, and A Love Supreme, the latter profoundly influencing the spiritual jazz movement. 58 years after his death, the jazz world still holds John Coltrane in high reverence, and he was simply a saxophone innovator and one of the best. July 17th, 1969, Easy Rider, directed by Dennis Hopper, starring himself, Peter Fonda, and Jack Nicholson, is released. The cast also included Karen Black and Tony Basil. In case you haven't seen it, Fonda and Hopper play 2 bikers who travel through the American Southwest and the American South, carrying money made from the cocaine deal. The success of Easy Rider helped spark the new Hollywood era of filmmaking during the 1970s. A landmark counterculture film and a touchstone for a generation which captured the national imagination, Easy Rider explores the societal landscape, issues, and tensions toward adolescence in the United States during the 60s, including the rise of the hippie movement, drug use, and communal lifestyle. Real drugs were used in real drugs were used in the scenes showing the use of cannabis and other substances. And although an independent production, Easy Rider was released by Columbia Pictures on July 14th, 1969, and earned 60 million worldwide, compared to a modest filming budget of 400,000. Critics have praised the performances, directing, writing, soundtrack, and visuals. It received 2 Academy Award nominations for Best Original Screenplay and Best Supporting Actor, which is Jack Nicholson. In 1998, the film was selected for preservation in the United States National Film Registry by the Library of Congress as being, quote, culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant. July 18th, 1937, Hunter S. Thompson was born in Louisville, Kentucky. Thompson rose to fame after reporting on his time spent living with the famed motorcycle group, the Hells Angels. His new first person style of reporting was eventually dubbed gonzo journalism, and he became most famous for his novel, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. Thompson was also known as a pioneer of new journalism, along with Gay Talese, Truman Capote, Norman Mailer, Joan Didion, and Tom Wolfe. However, Thompson's writing blurred the lines between reality and drug-induced maniacal narrative. If you have never read Hunter S. Thompson, my recommendation is to start with either Hell's Angels or Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. It's one of the funniest books I've ever read. Otherwise, what are you doing with your life? I also recommend the 2008 Alex Gibney documentary, Gonzo, The Life and Work of Hunter S. Thompson. Hunter S. Thompson died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound on February 20th, 2005. He left a suicide note. Football season is over. No more games, no more bombs, no more walking, no more fun, no more swimming. 67. That is 17 years past 50, 17 more than I needed or wanted. Boring. I'm always bitchy. No fun for anybody. 67. You're getting greedy. Act your old age. This won't hurt. Am I the only one who thinks that it's ironic that a man who survived years of hard drinking and numerous drugs of all varieties, as well as the administration of Richard M. Nixon, decided it was time for him to check out due to George W. Bush being elected president in 2000 and reelected in 2004? Then again, maybe Thompson had just reached his psyche limit. I wonder what he would have thought about our current president. July 19th, 2009, author and educator Frank McCourt died at the age of 78. McCourt's memoir, Angela's Ashes, won the Pulitzer Prize in 1996. I think that is about it for this week. You have been watching Culture Cafe, literary, film, and music history for the week of July 13th, a presentation of Coffee Before Pants. If you enjoy my videos, again, I say this, hit the like and or subscribe button down below. Also, if you would like to help me out in a small way, you can buy me a virtual coffee at buymeacoffee.com. I will put a link for that website down below. And as always, please support your local independent bookstore and your local public library. I will be back next week with another This Week in History. Until then, peace.